So after 1989, as the Eastern Communist bloc went down, the Western capitalist world felt so much triumphant. Okay, together with it, it ran just like a brakeless Benz, which means like you run at the 100 miles per hour speed. Nothing can block us. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Okay, capitalism is the greatest thing is human beings ever invented. That was their spirit. Look, the communist world, right? They went down. Okay, so follow us. Okay, if you don't follow us, you're the loser, that kind of things, right? And then there emerged the globalized financial market with it, because you need some transactions internationally and freely. And for that part, financial markets were largely getting more deregulated, countries after countries. And then together with it, there came technological innovations. The information technologies, internet, and then the dot-coms and all these kind of things popped up. And then with this, transaction costs got reduced so much, and together combined with the financial deregulation, we saw a lot of financial innovations such as currency futures and options and multi-currency bonds and cross-border listings of stocks and mutual funds. Now you can trade internationally, and then ETFs, right, exchange trade funds, got so much popular in the global financial market. Now, currency was also a big issue there, especially the euro currency, 1999 and 2000. Actually, the euro currency and eurozone was an innovation, and ever since the Second World War, okay, it started with something called ECSC, European Commission of Steel and Coal. Why steel and coal? Because they thought, the reason for having World War I and II was because of the imperialism, which was centered upon this industry called the steel industry. Steel industry, well, what do you need? Iron ore and coal mine, okay? If you have both of them, then you have a goal. Now, look at France and Germany. In between, what area is it? The borderline, of course. But in French side, you see Alsace and Lorraine, okay? Strasbourg and Colmar. Anybody from there? Yeah, I've been there. It's a beautiful place, like a fairy tale. The place, if you look at their terrain, the land, and then the mud, how do you say this? The ground, it's pastel red color. What do you mean red color? What does it mean? Well, as soon as you see the red color, it has to ring your bell. Oh, Fe, which is like what? Steel, oxygen steel, okay? That is a red color. So the Alsace and Lorraine, that place, they have rich iron ore. And if you look at the neighborhood on the German side, what do you have? Oh, Ruhr and Saar, these places around this Elbe River, and you have great coal mines, okay? Now, if either Germany or France has these two parts, right? Alsace-Lorraine and then Ruhr-Saar, these steel, iron ore, and then coal mine together, that country can build super steel industries so that they could be the rulers. So they were competing for that ever since World War I and II. Now, after this World War II, people thought, we don't want World War III. Okay, so to prevent that, what do we have to do? Let's not fight for this iron ore and the coal mine, but let's take it as a chance to make it more cooperative. So that's why ECSC started. Instead of fighting, let's cooperate and then combine our economies together somehow. Okay? Eurozone. started to take place with that development. Okay, so not only this economic zone of two countries, but also other European countries joined the forces together so that no more war will be there. Okay, so that's how it got developed. Eventually, why don't we just combine our currency and call it euro, and instead of German mark and the French franc and things like that. So that was the idea over here. Eventually, they combined it. Okay, so they did it very innovatively. That was amazing. Okay, you see the member countries over here, and the transaction domain of the euro may become larger than the US dollars in the near future, was written in the textbook, but that was then. Anyway, you know what happened afterwards recently, so wait for that part. But anyway, that was innovative approaches to prevent any World War III. Okay, trade liberalization and economic integration also took place. And then over the past 50 years, international trade increased about twice as fast as the world GDP. There has been a change in the attitudes of many of the world's governments, who have abandoned mercantilist views and embraced free trade as the surest route to prosperity for their citizenry. And then the principal argument for the international trade is based on the theory of comparative advantage. David Ricardo, I gave you that videos discussing the appendix of chapter 1. Now, so the idea is like, communist world sucks, right? Let's do free trade as a capitalist world. Okay. If you don't join it, you're the loser. That's the idea over here. And then if you do the free trade, and then the Ricardo's idea is what? Specialization. Okay, specialize in one product and trade. As long as there is a free trade, okay, everybody will be happier by specializing in one industry. Okay. That is the efficiency search. Okay, efficiency. So some countries, you're good at agriculture, focus on that, specialize on that. Some countries, you're good at one manufacturing industries, focus on it, specialize on it. As long as we freely trade, we can be both happy together. That's the spirit. Okay. They never question, what if this happy together, the free trade breaks down? Would we be happy together again? I don't know. So that was the approach over here. Okay, encouraging free trade. David Ricardo. And the liberalization of protectionist legislation. Now, GATT was big, general agreement on tariffs and trade, and multilateral agreement among members. Was there to propose to encourage free trade, and it got bigger. WTO was taking that place of GATT afterward, and then they kept on proposing this gospel of free trade. Okay, as long as we trade freely, mutually, and then mutually allowing for this kind of then we will live happy together. That's the spirit. Now, they, had this kind of belief. As long as you get into this free trade as a capitalist country, you get richer, and then the richer you get, the more likely you are to adopt democratic regime. Okay, democracy will come naturally as people get richer. Okay, that was their assumption. So that is why they tried to include China into WTO. Why? Because they believe that once Chinese get richer, their people will try to set up democratic government inside their country. Did that happen? Is another question, serious question. So China, okay, look at their foreign exchange arrangement. Are they free floating Chinese yuan, or is it free floating or any kind of but the answer is no. It is really strictly controlled Chinese FX, right? But why did they include it? Okay, the Western Hemisphere. They were hoping and praying, yeah, China, please come in. And then later on, your people will set up a, democratic government. But good luck. NAFTA, okay, also took place. And then, Eurozone, oh, you're, setting up your own Euro bloc and of free trade inside you. We will do our own, called North American Free Trade Agreement. And Canada, America, and Mexico. Among us, free trade. Outside us, we will have some barriers. So we will live happy together. That's the idea. Now, for Mexico, the ratio of exports to GDP has increased dramatically from 2.2% in 1973 to 31.7% in 2011. The increase in free trade has resulted in increased number of jobs and higher standards of living for all member nations. Okay. So, and then the privatization was also a big thing in 1990s. The selling of state-run enterprises to investors is also, a denationalization. Privatize these companies. Why? Because in communist bloc like China and Soviet Union, well, so much inefficiency in this state-run businesses. And good example is shown in that book, Chip War. Why did Soviet Union fail in this Cold War? Because they lost the war of semiconductor. Why did they lose semiconductor? Because least efficient in Soviet Union. Okay, it was state-run, so the state feeds you no matter whether you do good or bad, or work hard or lazy. You get fed the same amount of money. So why would you work hard? Least incentivized to compete and do your best to produce good semiconductor, high performance semiconductor. No way, no incentive. In contrast, in Silicon Valley, they had every reason to produce the best semiconductor in the world, because within that Silicon Valley, there was so much competition of the free market. The market forces, the invisible hand, was forcing you, incentivizing you to work hard, crazy hard. Okay, always on the forefront, you can survive. If you fall behind by just 1 year or 6 months, you're losing. Okay, so ultimate competition, dead or alive, cutthroat, competition made America great, especially in semiconductor competition, against Soviet Union. So state-run enterprises, businesses, no good, no incentive to work hard. That's the key message I wanted to tell you. By the time the Soviet Union and then the China was, opening up and then adopting this capitalist mechanism, they privatized all these companies, right? China has a lot of them called state-owned enterprises, and then they were making them more efficient, and then this opening up and privatization also gave great opportunities for international investors, because there was a lot of chance to take over these prior state-run enterprises and take over the company. International M&As and Chinese privatization. Many of them were there. And then Chinese stock market, they opened it up to foreign investors, Class B shares, right? For foreigners, Class A share, no, not Class A, but A shares and B shares, I say. B shares for foreigners, A shares for their own citizens, or A shares, and then foreigners B shares, right? But who cares, right? Shenzhen and Shanghai, they have stock exchanges like that. And then it was, has been a big issue, Chinese investment, right? Anyway, then 2000s, 21st century, was, going high, especially during 2003 until 2007. It was low interest regime. They After the dot-com bubble bursted in 2000, and the central bankers there, Alan Greenspan, had a concern. We had some stock market crash in NASDAQ 2000. To overcome this crash, we need to lower down the interest rate so that people will start to borrow money and then do business. Okay, easy to do business with low interest rate, so they were encouraging it, borrow money. Okay, so the economy started to take off after 2001, and then cheaper money to borrow. What do? Well, cheap money you put into real estate in California and whatever places, and then people started to renovate their houses and resell it. You can still make money by doing it because somebody else will be able to borrow cheaply and then buy your houses later. So real estate market was going higher and higher during this period, with the easy money to borrow. And then financial innovation took place, financial engineering. Whenever there is such words as financial innovation, we have to be careful. Maybe some mavericks kind of guys will devise something fishy, and then we may be failing later on, bursting. But financial innovation, financial engineering was a big thing there. What was that? In real estate market, they developed something called mortgage-backed securities. And mortgage-backed securities, what is that? Well, mortgage is a contract of borrowing to purchase your houses and lands. Over 30 years horizon, you just repay your loan, okay? Quite stable manner. That's mortgage contract. But what is MBS? Your mortgage contract is not liquid. It's your contract between you and your landlord, okay? It's a private contract. But the idea of MBS is like, let's make it tradable, okay? Securitize it. Why? Make it more liquid, and then there could be, a lot of benefits coming from it, from investors' point of view. Okay, so it was creating a whole new market, a whole new world was taken off. Okay, what do you mean? So these contracts, thousands of mortgage contracts, you package it. Okay, and then you package these mortgage contracts. You have a portfolio of mortgage contracts. So what's the benefit of forming a portfolio? Well, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So it diversified. So it's less than perfectly correlated. So each mortgage contract, you may go bankrupt, but if you package it, okay, the mortgage-backed securities, well, one guy going bankrupt is no problem because the rest of the 99 guys still may be able to pay their loans, mortgage loans, and then your portfolio does not get hurt that much, okay? And they thought the mortgage market in California and the mortgage market in New York and mortgage market in somewhere in, Missouri, they are not correlated. So they will be balancing each other out, canceling each other out. So you will have some stable cash flows and then close to risk-free rate. Okay, it's a very safe asset, they thought, and then you can buy and sell it. Okay. So mortgage-backed securities was developed, and then together with it, they developed something called collateralized mortgage debt obligations, and then collateralized loan obligations, something called CDOs and CLOs kind of things. They developed this kind of securitized products, financial engineering. So things got more complicated, but the key idea was we are making a portfolio of mortgages, and then make it as a securities that we can trade, buy and sell in the market. So the big investors like global investment banks, this kind of CDOs was a great product to invest, okay? Because they looked safe and then still, it was tradable. So they put all these monies into these CDOs and then CLOs, and bought and sold these contracts, the securities, like crazy. And then the real estate market was going up because of the cheap money, low interest rate. And as long as you have bigger fool behind you who will buy your real estate, you're okay to go. So the mortgage-backed securities market looked promising. And then same idea, not only the real estate, but also the mortgage-backed securities or CDOs. As long as there are bigger fools, you may be able to sell it more expensively in the future. So with that, financial market bubble really took off. That was until 2007 and 8. Okay, and by people thought, wait a minute, it seems like the price is too high. Okay, we should not pay that much. Okay, but why are people so going crazy about it? This must be a bubble. Okay, we have to short it. Some people realized it, like the movie Big Short. Okay, and then eventually the time came, 2008 and 9. Lehman Brothers and then Bear Stearns, they were busted. And then historically, those two guys were one of the biggest 5 investment banks in the whole world, just like Armada. It was impossible to, unimaginable for them to go bankrupt. But things happened. Okay, that was global financial crisis in this period. And then with that, a lot of bank runs and the things happened. We call it Great Recession. Okay, and then the synchronized economic downturn was happened, the greatest one ever since the 1930s. And then household and financial institutions borrowed too much and took too much risk, and then this risk was repackaged with securitization, and so defaults on subprime mortgages. We call it ninja. Okay, no income, no job, still okay. You borrow money from our bank, and then we will, set up a mortgage for you. Why? Because it's cheap to borrow, and then the, bigger fool theory. Okay, and there will be some buyers for you later on. So irresponsible, lending practice was there. Subprime mortgage crisis, we call it, and U.S. came to in the U.S. came to threaten the solvency of the teachers' retirement plans in Norway, and then the exhibit 1.5 shows you about this, what happened in the Great Recession, and then stock market. Dow Jones Index plunging, you see it, and then the unemployment rate skyrocketing like this. Well, 10% unemployment rate, is that bad thing? Well, the European standard or Korean standard, not that bad. But in American standard, that's bad, because naturally unemployment rate is like 4%. 10% is like crazy in the US. So the interesting thing about US is really true to the market, and real time they change it really quickly. So that's where the US is strong about. Europe and Korea, Japan, it's slow, and then the unemployment rate really slowly moves. That's why the Europe and then Japanese and the Korean market, it takes such a long time, to get revitalized. But in America, it just quickly moves and then quickly revitalized later on. And anyway, 2008 global financial crisis, there was excessive risk taking of the banks in subprime mortgage markets and MBS and CDO. I told you about these, and the complicated derivatives. Whenever the finance guys talk to you about some new sexy products that you simply cannot understand it, two things. Maybe financial bubble is taking place. Number two, don't invest in what you don't know. If you don't understand it, so be it. Be courageous enough to say, get out of me, right? I'm not going to invest in that, right? Because I don't understand it. Most of the people, they don't have courage to recognize or say like this. Don't want to feel like stupid. So that they just say, oh, okay, I understand, even though you don't understand. And number two, FOMO, fear of missing out. What if my friend gets richer by investing in that product that I just don't know, and I'm left out over here. FOMO. Okay, so you join the wagon, join the bandwagon, you screw up yourself. So be careful. That's the critical message. Crisis unfolds and bank runs and domino effect takes place. There was bank run like this in Northern Rock in the UK, and then too many depositors withdrawing simultaneously. We call it bank run. It happened, okay? We thought, bank run of this classical thing was gone with the history, but no, okay? And even a solvent bank could fail with the groundless rumors like this, right? In 1873 bank run, it was happening again, okay? It's all about the trust issue. Now, global financial crisis in 2008, and I'm going to come back in the next video, so wait for this one. Thanks for watching.